calypso. Intensify the Kaiso fire. Women in calypso are surely taking over. Women put on a real good show, and I felt the art form to grow. Women in calypso have good diction and clarity, with good lyrics and melody. Women in calypso. Women in calypso.
Pandemic of fear spreading all over, of deadly pathogens floating through the air, spreading all over. Out of the chaos and confusion, we turn to our leaders seeking solutions, but only getting guesstimation, making things worse. But it's just a man-made catastrophe, and God is still in control. So be not afraid of those who could harm the body, but not the soul. What's to be will be, for this is the day that the Lord has made. I'll rejoice and be glad in it. Come what may, I won't be afraid. In this day that the Lord has made, I fear not the pestilence that call by night. Workers of evil is somebody's germ warfare spreading all over. Or if by accident it escaped in the air, spreading all over. We have heard about incidents where experiment turned into accidents, eh? And now we are told to expect more variants, making things worse. First it was cooperate, vaccinate, inoculate you and me. Now there are debates to make this mandatory as foretold in prophecy. But what's to be will be. For this is the day that the Lord has made. So rejoice and be glad in it. Hey, come one way, don't be afraid. In this day that the Lord has made, I fear not the pestilence that crawl by night, backstabbing hypocrites and parasite. Hey, atomic or nuclear weaponry designed to wipe out humanity or biological pathogens, killing millions by mere inhalation. Still, I am not afraid. In this day that the Lord has made, I'll fear not. I'll fear not. For the Lord didn't give us that spirit of fear. No. It is clear that the viruses are still here, spreading. Vaccinations alone won't make them disappear, spreading all over. So roll up for your booster shots. For the ones they've given is stopping up, eh? Like the flu vaccination, you may need one per year. So while they research and experiment, some have taken that leap of faith, but some remain vaccine resistant. But with the science they can't equate. But what's to be will be. For this is the day that the Lord has made. I rejoice and be glad in it. Come what may, I won't be afraid. In this day that the Lord has made, I'll fear not the pestilence that crawl by night. Those who behave as if right by might, eh? Atomic or nuclear weaponry designed to wipe out humanity or biological pathogens, restricting your lungs from precious oxygen. Still, I am not afraid. In this day that the Lord has made, I'll fear not.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting the dial away and managed to bump into us. This is ZIZ Radio from Adam St. Kitts.
ZIZ and the Fire Department of St. Kitts and Nevis.
I am Woman Fire Officer Louise Clark from the St. Kitts Nevis Fire and Rescue Services with your safety tip for today. Keep items that can catch on fire at least 3 feet away from anything that gets hot, such as space heaters. Smoking materials can cause residential fire death. If you smoke, take precautions. Smoke outside, choose fire-safe cigarettes, never smoke in bed, when drowsy or medicated, or if anyone in the home is using oxygen.
This message was brought to you by ZIZ and the St. Kitts Nevis Fire Department.
All right, good morning, and welcome back to the morning show as we get ready for our conversation this morning with the gentlemen from the fire department here, St. Kitts and Nevis Rescue Services. Let me say good morning to our regulars, Timothy and Romel. Welcome to the studio as usual, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, JQ. Good morning, listening audience.
Yes, good morning, listening audience and viewers.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. All right, so we are here this morning as usual to share some information with our audience, insights and tips. Last week, after a hectic morning, I understand there was an accident, and you guys were on the scene. Romel came straight from the scene here. A bit, he was prepared. Even though he wasn't, for one thing, he had a backup plan. So this is part B of the backup plan this morning. So I know he's ready. Over to you, buddy.
Yeah, of course, in our line of work, you have to be ready. You always have to have a backup plan, So today, as promised last week, I have the overall stats for January to March 2022. And we'll go back from 2020. In 2020, for the period January to March, we would have responded to 122 reports. That's federation-wise. In 2021, we responded to 195 reports. So you see, there was a increase between 2020 and 2021. And in 2022, we responded to 72 reports. So we went from 195 in 2021 to 72 in 2022. So if my maths is correct, that's about 123 fires less, which is remarkable. Mm-hmm. And so we would have already celebrated that. So we won't really go into an encore celebration, even though we still want to give God thanks. And of course, everybody who would have contributed to this decrease, we're going to say thank you anyway. Yesterday, though, we had a bit of work, reports to do both in Basse District and the Sandy Point District. Now, it wasn't a major fire. It wasn't a major fire. But I decided to speak about it so that we understand the importance of having certain things on your property. Whether it is your residential property, whether it's your farm, it is necessary to have certain fire prevention mechanisms in place, whether you're up in the mountain or you're down by the sea. It is necessary to have these things in place. Now, yesterday we got a call down and I want to commend the young, well, I want to say young guy because I'm not sure if he's older or younger than me. He just look young. Himself and his mother was at their farm and they were fighting fire. Wow. They were fighting fire. So I really want to commend them because it is because of their efforts that they put in prior to our arrival is what helped basically save their farm, prevented the fire from coming over through the fence and onto their farm. Okay. They put in some work. They really put in some work, and I really commend them for that. I don't have their listening. I don't have their names, so I want to commend them for that. And so the call was at in the Trinity area, down by the church. What is the Anglican Methodist church? On the hill, just as you come up Palmetto Points on the hill by Ogidem. Yeah, so we received a call at Trinity, and I'm talking about way up under the hill. The road is really steep. Most four-wheel drive vehicle could traverse the road, but not the regular vehicle, and of course not the fire truck that we have, because that is not an off-road truck. So when I got there in the pickup, the two individuals, they were fighting the fire with what they had. They had water on the property, which is one of the most crucial elements, and which is one of our primary extinguishing media, water. And so they had water on the compound, so they were able to begin firefighting activities until we got there. When I got there, and what happened is when they called, the truck was on another call, which also strengthens my point as to why we need to have certain things on our property. In this case, on your farm, make sure you have water. and an adequate supply of water. I know there might be some areas where the water pressure might be low, but at least you have water to at least start the initial attack. Once the fire is not out of control, where you're putting your life at risk, you could actually start an initial attack. So the bastard truck was in Cairn at a fire. So we resorted to calling Sandy Point. So while Sandy Point was on the way up, they got a call in Crab Hill? Crab Hill, Sandy Point. So that delayed the response even more.
Wow.
So it took us...
Talk about Murphy's Law, eh?
Right. That's still a way anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Okay, good. Well, it happened yesterday. So it was 3 of us on the top of the hill combating fires. You know how small an irrigation line is. I don't know if they have different sizes, but this one was look like maybe like a half-inch irrigation line.
Drip line.
And that is what we had to use.
Wow.
To fight the fire. Now the pressure wasn't that high.
Hold on. When you say we, you made mention earlier that you got there before the truck came. So you and...
Myself and the other 2 individuals, the farm owners.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed as though it was a mother and a son.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically stayed there and we combated that fire. Because of what they did, the fire was not out of control. Because I'm telling you, they did a really good job. They did a really good job. So we were basically combating the fire until the arrival of the fire appliance, one of the trucks.
Yeah.
So the trucks arrived, and of course, like I mentioned, our truck cannot go those areas. For one, the road is narrow.
It's winding.
It is winding, it is up and down, and there are some potholes in the road because the dirt road, so water wash away the dirt over time.
Wow.
And the truck is not designed for those areas. It's a street truck, it's not 4-wheel drive, which is why we resorted to calling Sandy Point. And so when the two trucks actually arrived on scene around the same time, so Sandy Point truck was able to come all the way up. But we resorted to old school firefighting where we use branches and trees and beat out the fire and so forth. While Sandy Point was at Trinity, they got a call. Well, I sent them back to base, but they got a call in Franklands. So they had to leave. Again, another reason why we need to have at least some sort of prevention mechanism in place, because if Sandy Point was the lone truck on that scene and that fire was raging and we had gotten a house fire in close proximity, this truck would have been the closest truck to that house fire. Now we have to prioritize house fire, lives. Once you think in a house, you're thinking about life. Now you have to prioritize. So you have to prioritize whether it's life over human life over animal, livestock. So that truck would have had to leave. So just to strengthen the point where persons need to have these type of mechanism in place as much as possible. You do your best, at least if you're not having a steady supply from the main because of where your farm is, at least get some kind of storage where you could take water from storage, so you could at least start some kind of effort until fire department arrive. Because yesterday we were just back and forth. You heard the fire truck wailing because we would have had to respond. That bastard truck would have had to respond to maybe 3 calls yesterday. We went to Cairn, we had to leave Cairn, come to Trinity, and then I think we would have responded to maybe 2 more after that. I think we ended up...
Bush fires?
Yes, we ended back up in Palmetto Points, I think, sometime late in the afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, so yesterday was... We've had busier days, but just so persons understand that there are times when your car, the truck is out on another call. So you must have at least something in place, whether it is a fire break around your property, whether it is water or you have a hose line or something that you could use to start an initial attack. Of course, not putting yourself at risk. So at least, before our arrival, you'd be able to start efforts to prevent any damage to your property.
Fire break, that's a term I'm not familiar with. What's that and how's that implemented?
I'll let my good friend here weigh in on this.
Okay, GQ, a fire break is typically, let's use a property for example. You have a house and you might have an open field surrounding your house, maybe on 3 sides, for example. Now, the grass might come up to your fence line. If there is a bushfire, a wildfire, if that fire sweeps that field, it's coming directly up into up to your fence, probably even over into your yard. So what you want to do is to keep the vegetation around your fence line low. Say about, is it like about 8 feet?
10 feet.
8 to 10 feet
from your fence back.
From your fence line away. Keep that really low as possible, so that in the event that a fire break out, when it comes to the area that is considerably low, you could even just go and step on that fire in order to extinguish it.
Okay.
There is very little effort you would need to put in. Granted, if your grass around your property was high.
Okay.
And that reminds me, I need to do some trimming around mine as well.
So what that really does, it breaks the forward progression of or slows down the forward progression of the fire, because it runs out of fuel, or it doesn't have enough fuel to continue burning. So you could have fire breaks around your residential property if you live in areas that have shrubby vegetation. It could be around your farm. Now, because it's a farm, you must have bush around your farm. You must still have a fire break around your farm to keep the fire out of your farm. Right? So, and yesterday was a good example. While you had vegetation inside of the farm, so the fire could have easily walked its way in and get to the animals. While the vegetation was not very high, there was still a possibility for the fire to get in. Now the bush on the outside was literally like on the literally on the fence.
On the
fence.
I'm gonna take some call.
Sure. Right.
Ramel. And then I'll let you continue.
Yeah, sure.
Good morning. Hey,
gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
And Romel, I'm always impressed with you. And you have your colleague, so when you're getting any problem, you just ask him to assist you. Teamwork. I love teamwork. And I'm glad that you all explained that the last thing you all explained just now.
The fire break.
Exactly. And I'm glad the fire officer realized he himself is in a similar situation. But I tell people, if you all know where I live, I've done a lot of work at where I live, just to avoid that similar situation. Those high grass, and the only way you can get rid of them is to dig them out. And once you cut them, they're going to always come back up. Yeah, I have a similar situation exactly in front of me, but other than that, to the side, to the back, I have it down packed. And it is very important because sometimes persons say, well, it's not my business, it's not my land, I don't care. But for that same issue you all spoke about, that could be detrimental. And you know what I mean? That's why I always believe that the government in particular needs to do something about these persons who have these lots and not doing anything about it. Because God forbid you are overseas. You know what I mean? There's a fire breakout, and you know what I mean, by the time somebody realizes it's too late. So these things could be. But I'm glad that the situation yesterday was dealt with, and it's all about we working together. Because although Romel got to the scene, you know what I mean, the two persons did assist until the fire. Because some persons feel like as soon as they call the fire truck is supposed to reach in no time at all. Bearing in mind that there are other things that might happen. Just like how you explained. So all of these things we have to take into consideration. Not because we call the fire truck, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to reach there immediately. It can happen. So you have to have contingency plan in place just in case. But I'm always so impressed with this program. Guys, keep up the good work. Superintendent GQ, keep the fire burning. Since you are talking about fire, keep the fire burning. Gentlemen, have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
All right, good morning, you're live.
Good morning, you get your promotion.
Boy.
Yes, the same thing.
And good morning, number 2.
Yes, good morning.
Mr. Number 2, question for you.
Is that for Williams or Ezekiel?
You is number. Remember, she called me name and she said number 2. So that's you.
In the fire for this year.
Sorry, can you repeat yourself?
That to me, hello?
Can you repeat your question?
For number 2, I said, I heard you guys say that they have a reduction in the fire for this year.
Yes.
A big reduction.
Yes.
Now, normally you guys will say K-On have a big fire situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you tell us if K-On section being dropped out of that?
Well, we have we have not had much responses in the K-On region so far. We responded to one yesterday in K-On, but there's a drop in K-On as well. Yes, there is a decrease in K-On, because K-On was one of our, regular hotspots.
Mm-hmm.
But we have seen a reduction in the reports we get from the K-On side.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, let's take this next call. All right, let's try this one. Good morning.
Yeah, a pleasant good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think Martin explained something a while ago, right? Could you also dig a trench around, if possible, to help to prevent that fire from breaking?
The
trench. Also beside the 10 feet from your fence, right? If possible, because sometimes it's people personal land, say maybe a government land or something like that. Is it possible you also dig a trench to help to prevent the fire from coming towards you if it's happened?
Okay, so if I could answer your question. All right, thank you for your question, Carla. Now, digging a trench, it can work. However, is not something that we do here. The trenching would work best for areas like forest fires, where you get that trench dug while the fire is blazing in order to extinguish it. Now, if you dig a trench around your property and that trench remain, over time what you would find is that grass would consume that trench. So it would be ineffective in having just you digging a trench around your property and leaving the trench there. Versus for a forest fire that is actually burning, and you see the fire officers going through with their conventional tools, the pick, the axe, the shovel and things like that. They dig trenches in order to extinguish that fire that is actually burning at that point in time. I don't know if that clears up your question.
All right, let's take this next call. Good morning.
Yes. Morning.
Yes,
morning, sir.
Ricky, Paul, Timothy.
Sir.
Morning.
Morning.
In relation to the fire break, I would go at least 15 feet or more. It also depends on your location, because even though you might have gone 10 feet thereabout, depends on your location and the wind can still pick the amber from right there and deposit it over in your yard or on the house, right? In addition, I'm going to go back last week, Rommel, with your backup plan that you had. And something, maybe I missed it out. I don't know if you had mentioned it, but once person here, fire hydrant, right? It's all pinned onto the fire department. But I don't recall last week that you had stated that, is the water department is who put down the fire hydrant, right? This is what the thing. Persons, the general public have to know and understand that it's not the fire department who put down the fire hydrant. During my things in Nevis, in relation to hydrant, you were talking. You had an area where you were talking about personnel who have their hydrant, the vehicle park on hydrant. I had started like a program up there in collaboration with the police, right? Where on either side of a hydrant, I give it at least 2 feet on either side of a hydrant and even forward, depends on the location of the hydrant. And in collaboration with the police, once personnel being seen vehicles parked on the hydrant, there would be one, and if continued, right, they could have been ticketed by the police. That was in Nevis, and something had started up there. Also, you know the location in Nevis, the terrain, and because the trucks them was unable for some of the areas to go to those areas, what I did again was to get in contact. They had a heavy duty equipment association, so I collaborate with them as well. So when we have these kind of heavy bush fire, where the truck can't reach, and the use of water, would make much sense. Yeah, collaborate with them guys, and then guys come in with the backhoe and then kind of thing, push some dirt and help control the fire for us. That's my input for today.
All right, Matt, thank you. You're going to be our final call. Gentlemen, I'll let you answer that and wrap up at the same time.
Yes, sir. Well, during our discussion last week, I did not mention water department was responsible for that. Because I was just basically speaking, about the maintenance of these fire hydrants, and that persons understand that, even though the fire hydrant is right by your property, it would be in your best interest to clean it, keep it clear, so at least if we have to respond, it is visible. And our responsibility is basically to clean and paint and make sure that they are visible. But however, as you know, water department is the governing authority when it comes to water, and anything to do with water is water department. And so that was a mention, but the public now knows that water department is the one who installs fire hydrants and what have you. In relation to what you spoke about areas where the trucks cannot go, I can relate to that. During my time in Nevis, having to fight fires, especially over at Indian Castle, we had a few backhoes and concrete trucks and so forth on site, delivering water, pushing back the grass and so forth. So I can relate to what you are saying. Of course, if that is to happen in St. Kitts, I'm sure that we wouldn't have a problem getting assistance from persons with heavy equipment. So but while you were speaking about working with the police, something that came to mind, we have fire hydrants, that might be close to the sidewalk. We probably could get, traffic paint and have police paint that area, maybe 5-10 feet on both sides of the hydrant, so nobody could park in that area. That just came to mind. So, but of course, most of our hydrants, they're located sometimes in the center of the street and so forth. So, nobody wouldn't park in the center of the street. So. But yes, everything you said is taken into consideration, and we will look at some of these and see how we could better our efforts to basically have persons that prevent persons from parking on fire hydrants. Yeah, but thank you for your input.
And your final words before we kick it over to Timothy.
Sure, as usual. You want to thank everybody for their listening and encouragement. I get encouragement all the time. Persons who stop me on the street and speak about how good the show is, how they have benefited from the show. As recent as Friday, I had a gentleman who basically said the show is a good show. And so I want to thank you for your support, both in your active participation in the show and basically adhering to some of the suggestions that we would have made or mentioned in order to keep your property safe. So we want to thank you. Of course, you stay safe and have a blessed day.
Timothy, as usual.
All right, so I just want to share very quickly some of the things that was highlighted in today's topic. One, even though we are not advocating persons to be firefighters, it is important that you help yourself once it is safe for you to do so. All right, and like Mr. Williams says, have water on hand, Make sure you have a fire break around your property, whether it be residential or even a farm. It is important to do so. And what was highlighted also is the decision making that the fire officers have to do in terms of if they're at a fire and a next fire breakout, you know, there's that split decision as to, hey, which one takes priority. And, you know, Mr. Williams said it best, house and saving lives take precedence over a bushfire, for example. And my last words is to remind us that fire is everyone's fight. Planning plus preparation equals safety.
Thank you both for being here, and we'll continue our conversation next week.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Don't touch that dial. We have more for you right here on The Morning Show. We'll be back right after this.
This message brought to you by ZIZ and the Fire Department of St. Kitts and Nevis.
I am Woman Fire Officer Louise Clark from the St. Kitts Nevis Fire and Rescue Services with your safety tip for today. Keep items that can catch on fire at least 3 feet away from anything that gets hot, such as space heaters. Smoking materials can cause residential fire death. If you smoke, take precautions. Smoke outside, choose fire-safe cigarettes, never smoke in bed, when drowsy or medicated, or if anyone in the home is using oxygen.
This message was brought to you by ZIZ and the St. Kitts Nevis Fire Department.
Experience the value. Get the cable's value bundle today. Internet, Ultra TV, free HBO Max, and a free Cable Platinum Loyalty MasterCard for only $157 monthly. Feel the thrill of 74 channels of Ultra TV. Feel the rush of the cable's 35 megabyte Bolt Internet. Maximum streaming.